But the crackdown on illegal immigration is long overdue. And finally, we're seeing it happen. We're looking at, and here was JD Vance talking about birthright citizenship. Birthright citizenship was never intended for illegal immigrants. That was a Dred Scott ruling. That was an amendment that had to do with giving citizenship to black Americans. And that has been now twisted and warped into allowing people. I was talking to a friend of mine who lives in Texas, who lives in the Rio Grande Valley. They said, look, this has gone on for years. Women will come over, they're pregnant in Mexico, they wait until they're about 8.5 months in, they go across the border, give birth on American soil, so that baby and the family will then get health care benefits afforded to American citizens. And then they go back to Mexico, but then they go back over the border, they go back and forth like a revolving door to get the benefit. That's an absolute perversion of the Constitution. Here was JD Vance with Margret Brennan. Boy, did he give her a master class. It was game, set, match JD yesterday on CBS's Face the Nation.
If you are a lawful permanent resident or a legal immigrant who plans to stay, your children, of course, should become American citizens. But let's say you're the child of an ambassador. You don't become...
But that's not part of it.
Well, that is an important principle.
Diplomats.
But we're saying that carve-out should apply to anybody who doesn't plan to stay here. If you come here on vacation and you have a baby in an American hospital, that baby doesn't become an American citizen. If you're an illegal alien and you come here temporarily, hopefully, your child does not become an American citizen by virtue of just having been born on American soil. It's a very basic principle in American immigration law that if you want to become an American citizen, and you've done it the right way, and the American people in their collective wisdom have welcomed you into our national community, then you become a citizen. But temporary residents, people who come in here, whether legally or illegally, and don't plan to stay, their children should become American citizens. I don't know any country that does that or why we would be different.
You got to watch this interview with Margret Brennan and JD Vance on CBS yesterday. It was spectacular. Here he was talking about the failed vetting process of refugees here in America.
When you talked to us in August, you said, I don't think we should abandon anybody who's been properly vetted and helped us. Do you stand by that?
Well, Margaret, I don't agree that all these immigrants or all these refugees have been properly vetted. In fact, we know that there are cases of people who allegedly were properly vetted and then were literally planning terrorist attacks on our country. That happened during the campaign, if you may remember. So clearly not all of these foreign nationals have been properly vetted.
But there are 30,000 people in the pipeline, Afghan refugees.
But my primary concern as the Vice President, Margaret, is to look after the American people. And now that we know that we have vetting problems with a lot of these refugee programs, we absolutely cannot unleash thousands of unvetted people into our country. It's not good.
These people are vetted.
Just like the guy who planned a terrorist attack in Oklahoma a few months ago, he was allegedly properly vetted, and many people in the media and the Democratic Party said that he was properly vetted. Clearly he wasn't. I don't want my children to share a neighborhood with people who are not properly vetted, and because I don't want it for my kids, I'm not going to force any other American citizens' kids to do that either.
No, and that was a very particular case. It wasn't clear if he was radicalized when he got here or while he was living here.
I don't really care, Margaret. I don't want that person in my country, and I think most Americans agree with me.
Gosh, I mean, her condescending, patronizing, talking down to him, and he's like, look, I don't really care how he got here. I don't want him in my country. It was so good. And then she tried the old, we're a nation founded on immigrants. Don't you know that? Vice President Vance, check this out.
Well, this is a country founded by immigrants.
Well, this is a country founded by...
country.
This is a very unique country, and it was founded by some immigrants and some settlers, but just because we were founded by immigrants doesn't mean that 240 years later that we have to have the dumbest immigration policy in the world.
I mean, it was so good. And once again, there's a member of the media doing her best to be the loyal opposition. And that's okay until, you know, they get in the way of trying to stop them from governing, which is what their goal is. Did you see JD Vance with Margret Brennan on CBS's Face the Nation yesterday? I mean, he gave a complete just masterclass on how you deal with a pesky reporter anchor who wants to be argumentative and condescending and patronizing. And the phrase, "I don't really care, Margret," is taking on a life of its own in the way of memes and clips. Check out this exchange between Margret Brennan from CBS and JD Vance, the vice president.
But my primary concern as the vice president, Margaret, is to look after the American people. And now that we know that we have vetting problems with a lot of these refugee programs, we absolutely cannot unleash thousands of unvetted people into our country.
These people are vetted.
Good.
These people are vetted.
Just like the guy who planned a terrorist attack in Oklahoma a few months ago, he was allegedly properly vetted, and many people in the media and the Democratic Party said that he was properly vetted. Clearly he wasn't. I don't want my children to share a neighborhood with people who are not properly vetted, and because I don't want it for my kids, I'm not going to force any other American citizens' kids to do that either.
No, and that was a very particular case. It wasn't clear if he was radicalized when he got here or while he was living here.
I don't really care, Margaret. I don't want that person in my country, and I think most Americans agree with me.
Oh, that was so good. I don't really care. But does Margret want to be living near people who aren't properly vetted and are potential terrorists who are going to do her and her family harm? You're arguing with that? But that's how they roll. That's CBS. Vance's appearance on Face the Nation with Margret Brennan was the best TV I watched all weekend. I watched a lot of TV. Man, I was like a couch potato, just kind of catching up, getting a lot of rest. I mean, this guy's interview just got him closer to the 2028 presidency. He is no nonsense. I mean, Margret Brennan, these migrants were vetted. They were vetted. Oh, really, Margret? Like the guy who planned the terrorist attack in Oklahoma a few months ago? Really? Boom. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Here he was. I love his response to her whole, we're a nation founded by illegals.
Well, this is a country founded by immigrants.
Well, this is a country
founded by...
This is a very unique country, and it was founded by some immigrants and some settlers. But just because we were founded by immigrants doesn't mean that 240 years later that we have to have the dumbest immigration policy in the world.
I mean, this guy, it was just swatting away all of her condescending, patronizing questions and doing it with in such a masterful way. I mean, I love the criticism Trump's getting. Well, the prices of eggs haven't gone down yet. Check out this exchange.
You campaigned on lowering prices for consumers. We've seen all of these executive orders. Which one lowers prices?
We have done a lot, and there have been a number of executive orders that have caused already jobs to start coming back into our country, which is a core part of lowering prices. More capital investment, more job creation in our economy is one of the things that's going to drive down prices for all consumers, but also raise wages so that people can afford to buy the things that they need. If you look at our slate of executive orders, no, Margaret, prices are going to come down, but it's going to take a little bit of time, right? The president has been president for all of 5 days. I think that in those 5 days, he's accomplished more than Joe Biden did in 4 years.
Wow, it's astounding. It really is. Wait till you hear the plane with the pilot announcing, ladies and gentlemen, over your left, on the left side of the plane, the Gulf of America. And the passenger's response, hey, how are you feeling right now? 800-655-MIKE.